What's up everyone, this is Justin from Mix Supply, and this video is going to be, I'm going to call it a exploration series where I'm going to take one of my template designs, the hidden pocket bifold, and I'm going to convert it into a wallet that I'm going to laser cut straight onto the leather, laser cut the holes, and then stitch it up and see what it looks like at the end, and if it's something that's I think would be suitable as a DIY leathercraft kit. This is the first time I'm doing this bifold design in this method, so hope you enjoy. Okay, so in this first section here, I'm going to go over a little run through on the technical design aspect of this wallet, setting it up, in the design program, what it's going to look like when it gets sent to the laser cutter, etc. If you're not interested in this section, just look in the description of the video below, and you can fast forward to the actual cutting and construction part. But for anybody that isn't interested, like I said, I'll be showing you how I take the design that I have for the acrylic template and add the stitching holes, piece it all out, and get it ready to be cut on the laser. I'll be using Adobe Illustrator Creative Cloud. If you watched the previous video I did a while back, it was a kind of an intro to what I use, making shapes for wallets and card holders and all that stuff. This is basically an expansion of that video. So if you want to check that out, be my guest. Okay, so first let's just take a look at what it will look like in the end, all put together. So as you can see here, it's a 4 card slots, 2 hidden pockets, and 1 main slot for cash. It's about 3.5 inches tall. This is the same design as the hidden pockets bifold, which I sell as a template set. And obviously all of these red circles will be stitching holes, and the blue lines are the cut lines for the pieces. Here's a look at what it looks like all broken out. So this is kind of what the file will look like when I send it to the laser. Here's the outer shell, the inner shell, hidden pocket, T-slots, and bottom card slots, all with their respective stitching holes on them. And then again, it lines up to look like this. Okay, so first I will start with, when I'm putting this together, obviously I start with the base template. So here are the shapes: the inner shell, the outer shell, and the hidden pockets and card slot and T-slot, all blank. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is clear some of these guides and start over. Okay, so when I do this, when I'm adding stitching holes to something complex like a bifold or something like that, what I like to do is scroll off the screen really fast. Now, what I like to do is start from the inside and work my way out. That way I know that I've taken care of all the holes on the inside and just keep building. So first let me just add some guides. And okay. So obviously we all know that when you are making a wallet and you're plotting holes of stitching holes, you need to start with your distance from the edge. And usually that's something like 1/8 of an inch or 2 to 3 millimeters, whatever is your preference. So I'm going to be using basically 1/8 of an inch. So something like this, you would just move it in from the edge, 1/8, 1/8, 1/8. Okay, so there's a couple different ways to do this. You can use the pen tool if you want to do it by hand. I'm going to use something called the offset path tool. That will do it for me and be exactly perfect, so I don't have to worry about it. So what you do is select your shape, object, path, offset path, and then you'll put in whatever your offset is, mess around, do whatever you want. So just make sure that it's a negative number, because if it's a, so here's it negative, it'll put the on the inside there. If you do it as a positive number, it's going to put it on the outside. You don't want that. So make sure that it is negative, and then whatever your number is, if it's in millimeters, 2 to 3 millimeter, whatever. So go ahead and do that. So now you can see that there is it's basically like we just drew a stitching line on this piece. Okay, so what I'm going to do is select it. Right now they're grouped together, but we want them to be ungrouped so we can work with them individually. So do the ungroup and then select again. Now I just have my stroke selected. So obviously I don't want this to be a solid line. I want it to be stitching holes. And since the easiest stitching holes to make with Illustrator are circles, I'm going to just do them in circles. You can do them probably in other shapes. I know you can do squares easily. Still trying to figure out how to do it with diamonds or the diamond stitching style, but do it very quickly. I know I can do it. It's a very belabored process. I want it to be really fast. I haven't figured it out yet, but I'll get there. So what I'm going to do is open the stroke tab, the stroke window. So you go to window, stroke, and I'll open this guy over here. First thing I'm going to do is switch my cap. It'll be on square, or butt cap probably. Switch it to round cap, and then switch this to dashed line. So as you can see here, put some very hard to see little circles. And then I will, being that I'm doing this in inches, I'm going to switch my units by going to preferences, units, stroke, and then switch it to inches. So then it just changes this to inches. And I'm going to do a 0 dash and a 0.25 1/4 inch gap. So the gap is just the stitching distance between the holes. I know that everyone likes their stitching distance their own way. For the sake of ease, I'm using a very even number that will fall very evenly in this measurement. And then you have some options over here. So preserve exact dash. Actually, let me switch this to something you can see better so I can demonstrate this point. Okay, so right now with this one selected, it will always be a 1/4 inch between these dashes. Between these pieces, no matter what. So if you are a stickler for your stitch distance, you'll use this option, but you might have to adjust where things are. As you can see here, it doubled up because obviously this measurement here isn't evenly divisible by 0.25. If you use this other option here, it aligns dashes to corners and path ends, and you'll see everything will straighten out. Okay, so what it did there was it adjusted the length between these holes to be perfect to allow all these circles to at the path end. So this is the path end, this is the path end, to align perfectly into those corners. So it probably expanded this a little bit longer than 0.25, but in this case I don't care. I just want it to be even. So this is, it's easy for me to create all these pieces. All right, here's the distance, the difference again. Here's the exact distance, which isn't even, and then this, which evens it out. Obviously, you'll have to mess with that depending on what you use for your hole size and your offset and all that stuff. It's a good time to play with that. Okay, so right now it looks like our hidden pocket is good. It has all the holes it needs. It's perfectly done. What I'm going to do now is remove this. Being that this is the exact same as this, all I can do is copy, paste, transform, reflect, vertical, and I have the other side. Simple as that. Just going to throw it over here for now. So now I have the reflected version. Now we have our 2 hidden pockets done. So now what I'm going to do is get the holes for the card slot. As you can see here, it has 3 holes on each tab and 4 holes on the bottom, something like that. So what I'll do is I will bring this up here, put it into place, and I'll also bring this put it into place. I will now, the way I do this is, since I'm starting from the inside and working out, I will take this exact whole thing, copy and paste it. And now I'm just going to delete all the stuff that I don't need. There's probably a faster way to do this. I don't like to do it just because I want to make sure that I have everything lined up and I haven't forgotten any pieces. So all I'm looking for is this card slot and the holes that go with this card slot. So I'm going to start deleting everything else. So I don't need this piece. I don't need this piece. Don't need this thing. And with these holes, so I had to do an extra step for these holes. So right now this is considered one path or one object, as you can see here. I can't select these individual holes. So what you got to do is go to Object, Expand Appearance, and then do it again to expand. And now this is when this comes up, you know you're in the right spot. You might have to do it a couple times, and then expand. So now, as you can see, all these holes are individually selectable. So what I'm going to do is Object, Ungroup. Might have to do that a couple times. And then use the direct select tool here and just start deleting all these holes that aren't part of the card slot. Cool, so now we have that. Obviously we're missing these 4 holes here. I'm not going to do something super precise, so what I normally do is I'll just draw a little line. Use your stroke settings. The same as the other one, and then you kind of, you can put this wherever you want it. Something like that. And then obviously make sure it's centered. And then we more or less have our card slot. Right? All right, so and then I'll usually just group it. So if I move it, all these holes don't go out of place. Control copy, transform, reflect, and then there's the other side. Simple as that. Okay, so now I'm going to move this out of the way. Do the same thing again. Copy everything, bring it down. Except for it's not working. Having trouble moving things apparently. Okay, same deal with this one. All I want now is the bottom card slot. So I'm going to go ahead and delete the top one, delete this line, delete the hidden pocket, and I got to go through this process again with these holes. Boom. And then, oops. And now you have your card slot with all the lined up holes. Control copy. Reflect. And then there's your other side. Run out of space here. Oops. Wow, really? As you can see, that's why I group everything, because it's so easy to lose them. Okay, so as you see there, now we have all of the pieces for the insides all done for both sides. So to do the shells, it's kind of the same process. I'll start a new tab just because it's getting annoying to work on this one. Okay, so I'll bring over this guy. Okay, and now I don't need any of this inside stuff because now I'm only going for the outer shell. So I also don't need this group of stitching holes on the inside. I'm sorry, I'm going for the inner shell. Okay, so that will connect to the inner shell, and then since it's the same on the other side, and then I will grab my inner shell piece, which is this one, bring it over. Okay, and then obviously I have to move this one over a little bit. Okay, so now as you can see, this is how that would sit on the inner shell. I don't need these lines here, so I don't actually need that starting hidden panel part, but I do need the holes, so I'll leave them. So there we go. So now that is the inner shell. Where are we at here? With the holes. It's the same as this one. All I did was add this little, I'm not going to do it in this run through, but I added the little swoop here. So that's that same exact piece right there as we're working on. And then it would be the same more or less for the outer shell. I'm going to, this one takes one extra step. Since this one is longer and it's going to fold a little, it's going to, you know, when you put the bifold together, it's a little bit longer and you have to do that part where you fold it and then attach. Same thing. So what I'm going to do is just grab everything, copy and paste it. What I'm going to do is delete the inner shell, select these holes, move them into place there, and the only difference is moving this one back. and then you have everything all set up. So that's the benefit of doing projects where the stitching holes are exact distances and everything's very even, because it's very easy to do all that. Obviously you can see here that all these things are outlined specific ways. So this is for the laser. The laser wants to cut around, it only wants to deal with strokes. So this red is a stroke and this blue is a stroke. So what it does is it cuts around all these little holes, so the little holes fall out. So to do something like that, you would just have to set this up. So select your holes, transparent fill, and then your stroke be red. This is all specific to your laser. So mine requires red. And then I'm going to switch the units back to points for the stroke. Normally I have to do it at a very small stroke, but since it's hard to see, I'll just do it at 1. And as you can see there, I have the red holes, and then to switch this out, I would just make it blue. Okay, and I would just repeat that same process for all the pieces. The red cuts first, the blue cuts second for all these pieces. So all these holes get cut out first, and then it goes back and cuts out the shape. Okay, so I spent a little bit more time on that than I wanted to, but that's how I set up this wallet. And now I'm going to take this file over to the laser, and we will see how it goes. Okay, so here's the piece of leather I'm going to use to cut the bifold. It's a little bit more than I need, but I was in a rush this morning. I didn't really measure out my exact cut, but this is a 3-ounce English bridle from Wicked & Craig, and I'm going to use this for every part, the outsides and the insides. So to prep for the laser, what I like to do is, try to smooth this out as much as possible. You need it to be flat at all times. Like you don't have a problem with, wood or acrylic because it's straight and it's flat at all times. But the leather can fold up, especially if it's been sitting, all rolled up in a box. It can come off the surface, and that will put the laser out of focus. So what you need to do is make sure you get your piece, nice and flat as you can get it. And if you need to tape down the edges when it's in the laser bed, I'll do that sometimes if I really need to. I try not to though. So I'm gonna, press this thing down a little bit, and then we'll put it in the laser and see what happens. Okay, so I have the leather and the laser. It's all focused, so we're ready to go. Put this down. And over here you can see all I did was, it's probably hard to see on the video, imported my file and just flipped the orientation so it's landscape. Brought it over here to the software. So now I'll run this, see what happens. Okay, so it looks like it's done. Let's check it out. Alright. Looks like everything cut pretty decent. It smells terrible in here. What I'm going to do is bring these out to the table and then come back and check out everything. Okay, so this is what we're left with here. All the pieces cut out pretty nice. Everything looks good. There's no real surface burning or anything. And you can see how this lines up. You get the idea. And then this is the outer shell. Cool. So what I'm going to do now is take this back to my workshop and then stitch everything up, and we'll see what it looks like at the end. Alright, so just as I was packing up and finishing off that last segment, I realized I made an error. This is the outer shell. This is not supposed to have holes on the top layer because there's nothing for them to stitch to. So, one, I'm glad I brought extra leather, and two, it's the beauty of the laser. I can just go back right now and fix this file and cut another piece, which is what I'm going to do. So as you can see here, I needed to remove that top row of holes. So now I'm going to cut another one, and then we'll go back and stitch this thing up. Okay, I just want to do another quick update. So, got this back here, stitched up the two panels, and now I am going to stitch the panels to the inside shell. So I was using main thread .035 wax polycord. You can see here. And I burnished all the top edges of the card slots, and I burnished the edge of the panel. Might be hard to see, but everything's fitting pretty nice right now. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is finish stitching the whole wallet up, and then I will come back and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, so let's take a look at the finished wallet. So I went ahead and stitched everything up, and I went ahead and burnished the edges here, and as you can see, doesn't look too bad. So my takeaways from doing the wallet for the first time is, I mean, obviously it's quick, all the pieces are really precisely cut, they line up very precisely. As you can see, you know, there's a little bit of charring on the edges, but you know, I did this without sanding either, so all I did was burnish over top of the laser cut. So you could technically sand all that off and then burnish. So yeah, so stitching was really easy, fitting the pieces together was really easy. The only thing I would want to investigate further is when you're doing pieces like this that have 4 layers, obviously that gets pretty thick. I would definitely want to skive down edges more. I didn't do any skiving on this, I just wanted to put it together as is. So 1, skiving the edges, 2, using an adhesive, so I didn't use any glue either, I just stitched the pieces together, and you know, they line up right, but you can still see there's like little gaps, especially on the edges there, you can see them. So with burnishing, you know, it doesn't flatten it out completely. So having a little bit of adhesive would be great, and then sanding before burnishing, obviously that's a normal step, I think would result in pretty much perfect edges, as if you know, cut it by hand and did everything by hand. But you know, for just using the laser and just stitching and cutting the thread and burnishing without sanding and all that, well, it came out pretty nice. So that will conclude my exploration video for laser cutting this bifold. I'm probably going to end up doing something like this as a DIY kit, where you could purchase all these pieces together with the thread and the needles and stitch it up yourself to have one if you want. All right, thanks for watching.